Okay, I think that we're live. I never know for like a second. I apologize for being late. That was a lot. Someone can tell the producer and the staff to show up on time, the set people. I mean, it was a nightmare. I'm just kidding. I don't have any of that. So I did a video a few weeks ago called, I was covering a Forbes article, and also I had taken notes on a girl's video that I watched. So I got a lot of interesting feedback, and I wanted to talk more about this. It's an interesting subject, and a lot of people were, I think, I keep wanting to say validly, but that is not the right word. Like, rightly so, or understandably, I'll say, upset because of what the Forbes article and the opinions of this woman, which I kind of agree with. I wouldn't choose it if it was me choosing these kinds of things, but I feel it is the reality. To recap on that, basically, for the first time in history, being thin is associated with affluence, and being not thin or on the heavier side is associated, and the further you go into obesity, with poverty and things like that. This is the first time in history. And think about this. When women were, and all the old paintings, you can see they're very voluptuous. They've got, large hips, large thighs, big, beautiful. And it was a signal that they had money to eat food. Most of the peasants or the lower class people before the last 30, 40 years that was a signal for wealth, right? Whereas being thin before 30, 40 years ago, arguably, like Twiggy, stuff like this, was you were probably not in a higher class, right? Or, you have a fast metabolism. I'm sure that's always been a thing. So this is the first time in history where being thin, and even super, super thin, is a signal of affluence. It's a signal of wealth. It's very difficult. Somebody wrote in a comment, and I'm going to try to find it, but it was like, okay, I don't like being late, right? And I don't like saying I'm going to do something and not doing it properly, but the comment is not as important. I can give you the gist of it. They fundamentally disagreed with everything that I said in the video. And I get it, because that's kind of what I was talking about too. And I'm going to guess, I could be wrong, that this woman was a woman. That this person was a woman, the person that made this comment. And she's going on, and what did I say the most important thing was, if anyone can remember? First of all, I'm learning about feminism, and I always thought it was a racket. Next was women policing women. You wrote 2 paragraphs. You're a woman. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, the women policing women thing. Beep, beep. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I can't remember what I said in that video. So just so you know, that video exists, and I'm glad it got some views, and I'm glad that this is a topic of conversation. It's very important to me personally. A lot of I've been super open about struggling with eating disorders most of my adult life. So I was born in 1981. I grew up with, we were told, or not told, but what was pushed was stick skinny. Like, first of all, that's not even, I'm going to go through some of the, I watched another documentary, and then some of the scientific, there's literature behind what makes women attractive to men. And it's not stick skinny. And my theory about that, by the way, is a guy that wants to date a girl that looks like a little girl probably wants to date a little girl. That's disgusting. So you can check out that video, The Economics of Thin. That's literally the title of the Forbes article. Let's see if there's any comments. Oh, yes, about my eating. So I'm not someone that has benefited from from all these body standards thrown at us. So the 90s to the 2000s was like 90s was like be super skinny, be so skinny you look like you're anorexic and on heroin. And then the 2000s I feel like was thin, but maybe like a little more curvy. I feel like boobs kind of became a thing. And then now, like I guess I was in my 20s or 30s when like the Kim Kardashian butts and stuff are coming out. I was like, that is so confusing. That's so confusing. Now, little girls are, young women are being told they need to have really, really thin waist. We'll get there. That's actually something that men do like, but very, very thin waist, and then huge bottom. I mean, this is not, you know what I mean? Some women have these figures naturally, but to do the things that they're doing, my friend, it's funny. She works in a gentleman's club. And she's like, Ashley, you would die if you saw some of these things, some of these operations. I don't know what they put into your derriere, but I guess after a year or two, it starts to look like cottage cheese, like not cellulite, like worse than cellulite, like just unnatural. I guess the whatever they put, sometimes I guess they take fat from your body, whatever they do, but it kind of disperses and settles itself, and it's not even. Okay, so this documentary called Beauty I watched, race is also a huge thing. So beauty and the economics of thin are two totally different subjects. I'm not going to be here too long today, but I am going to cover a few things, and then we can keep talking. We're always going to keep talking, right? Only 4% of women, from this documentary is where I got this, only 4% of women around the world consider themselves beautiful. We got to up that, girls. But don't get so then body positivity is important, but it's also like, I'll get into that in a second. 45% of men are unhappy with their bodies. That means 65% of men are good. So let's just go over that again. 4% of women on the planet find themselves to be beautiful. 65% of men find themselves to be either dashing, so handsome, or good. They're not worried about it. I thought that was interesting. So they had, and then another, so this was a video that I watched. It was all based on scientific literature. I have a few things that I'll put in the description of this video, and you can go check out the articles. So they did a list so there's 10 things that are scientifically proven to make a person attractive. And yeah, so I'll give you you can go into each one and why. There's a lot about why. So number 10 is the lips. So they're on the list. I thought they'd be higher. I guess I just wanted them to because I was born with very beautiful big lips. I've had a lot of people comment on here like, you have your lips injected? Did you get your lips done? Literally before I moved to LA, no one ever asked me. I moved here when I was 30 or 31, 12 years ago. I was never asked in my whole life living in DC and Miami whether I had my lips done. Okay, so number 10 is the lips. These are things subconsciously that we are attracted to in one another, men and women. It differs, obviously. And then sexual dimorphism is a thing, but I need to do another video about it. That's basically how men's standards are different than women's, right? Number 9 is your teeth. I knew that was something because your teeth show a lot about your genetic health. It shows your teeth are connected to your brain. Your teeth say a lot about you. Rich source of information about environmental and genetic circumstances. Number 8 is your skin. So it was interesting. I've had acne. I also had acne most of my adult life. And all the doctors would be like, well, you're going to be so happy when you get older because you're going to look younger. I'm like, asshole, like you don't want to hear that when you're like in college and you want to look pretty and go out and stuff. But I think because my mom aged very well. She looked like she was 49 or 50 when she passed at 76. But yeah, I do have that oil factor. So the skin, but they said acne wasn't actually, like they said if a person had a few pimples, it usually doesn't deter someone. Like it doesn't take away so much from your face actually. It's more like the quality of your skin, the color of your skin, stuff like this. Number 7 is your hair, the health of your hair. I don't know if, some of you guys, a lot of you guys were here a few years ago when COVID happened, and Ashley didn't get to a haircut. First of all, I didn't have money to get a haircut. I could not literally afford a $25 Supercuts haircut. Secondly, they were all closed. So I started cutting my own hair, guys. I'd be like that looks about right. And it ended up being like, I went full Sinead. Full Sinead O'Connor is what happened at the end because it was like uneven. I even watched this video where you can take your hair and hold it up and do it like this. I tried everything, but I ended up having super, super short hair. And I was like, I've never had super short hair in my life. And I was like, this is interesting. It was an interesting thing, but hair is 7. So as we're going down, the importance is going up, right? The health of your hair, the quality of your hair, and the length. So men are very attracted to women with long hair, long, healthy hair. A lot of this, and I'm going to get to this in a second, has to do with fertility and like how these are all things that our bodies understand, not on maybe a cognizant level, but we can like it's within 5 seconds. A man will look a woman up and down and kind of decide whether he would want to mate with her, right? If you're talking on a primal level. Okay. Number 6 is cheekbones. So they don't have to, the video is saying that they don't have to be like high and what's the word I'm looking for? Sharp, but cheekbones. Like some people don't have really any, right? But I guess that's another sign of health or fertility. They showed like Angelina Jolie, but then they also showed that other actress. What's her name? She was in, what was she in? She was in, oh my gosh, Katniss. Somebody called me Katniss once. That's from the movie, The Hunger Games. You guys figure it out. Okay. Number 5 is your nose. So I thought that was interesting. And it's not a certain nose that's attractive. It's mostly that it's proportionate to your face. Let's see. Face shape is number 6. Face shape. And there's something called the clinical definition. No. There's something called, clinical definition of facial index. Or I think, okay. The clinical definition of facial index is the length of the face relative to the width. So it has to do with symmetry. It's kind of interesting. So men, you want to have, or the ideal, or the index is 1.35 longer than the width. And for women, it's 1.3. But basically you want your face, not you. I'm saying this is the scientifically proven standards of beauty, which mostly have to do with fertility when it comes to women. So you want your face to be a bit longer than it is wide, but proportionate in symmetry. So I'll just mention this guy because I read a bunch of this article. These two dudes wrote it: Johan R. Rerinke and Carlo Ferretti. So I'll put that on the bottom after. Okay, so face should be for men 1.3 3 times longer than the width, and women it's 1.3. Number 3 is eyelash, brow ridge, and eyebrows. So it's the whole area, not the eyes. We're not there yet. It's the eyebrows, the eyelashes, and the brow area and the nose ridge. So they clump that all together, and that's number 3. Number 2 is the eyes. So there are things that, despite like having a nice shape or color, like that, your eyes have more white and not yellow. Also, it's not just fertility. I can't believe I didn't say this before. Health. So we subconsciously want to be around healthy people, not people that seem to be afflicted or sick, like with yellow in the eyes or yellow on the teeth, or you know what I'm saying? Jawline is number 1. I thought that was interesting. Jawline, chin, upper lower lip. I told you about sexual dimorphism. Okay, so the thing about the hip, bigger hips are relative to waist as a marker of fertility, childbearing pelvis. So the difference between what men look for versus women is sexual dimorphism. And I feel like I've done my job. I have an article that I have to write. So let me see what you guys are saying. I'm so happy that you're here. I hope you're having an amazing weekend. Hi, James Diamond. Let's see. Let's answer the questions. What's up, Augustino? Oh my gosh, you were so mean to me in the Facebook group, Liz. I'm just going to call you Liz now. You probably are a woman. Just kidding. What's up? Malaikum salam, Zaire. What's up? It's like me looking at the chat on my phone. I can see it here. I just can't go up here. All right, PL ratio. I've never heard of that. Where you have a face like a big old pie. That's kind of funny. Hi, Lay. I love you. I hope everything's going so smooth. So there are psychological differences between men and women. Oh, physiological. No, James. I think physiologically, if you ask anyone, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to go ahead and bet everything I got. There's zero difference physiologically between men and women. If you don't get sarcasm, you don't get sarcasm. Of course. What are you talking about? I mean, sexual organs. There's a lot of things that are different physiologically. And also, our brains are wired differently, which affects our physiology. So all that is interesting. One of the important parts of the comment, let me see if I can find this comment, because I was also like, no matter what, I appreciate if you disagree with me. I like that. Just don't like low blow me and be weird. But this person said, you know, I fundamentally disagree, and they made some excellent points. I'm going to try to find the comment right now. They made some very excellent points. Like, I think that people are attracted to people because of this and this and that. And then she was also like, very much, I could tell, this part to me feels very tricky. Do not get my words fucking twisted. Body positivity is very important. We should always think positively about ourselves, no matter where we're at in terms of weight, in terms of whatever. We work with what we got, and that's it. There are some people that literally genetically could never be skinny. They could starve themselves forever, but still their frame and their bones and their shape would still not have that lengthy, lanky look. Does that make sense? So the point that I'm trying to say is, yes, that whole movement is fine. And it's helpful, right? We can't just be sitting around like, oh, I'm in a fat suit. You know what I'm saying? Like body dysmorphia is something that I still kind of deal with sometimes. Like, I know that I'm not fat, but sometimes I feel, I don't want to, offend anybody that's like literally overweight, but sometimes I feel uncomfortable. I think because of all this stuff, a lot of women do, and have had experiences with their relationships with food. The point is, you guys got me off track. Oh, so I don't think that men, I don't know, you guys tell me I'm thinking out loud in a way. I don't think that men are like, okay, so in the 90s, most of the magazines you would open, Vanity Fair, whatever, pop culture, whatever the genre is, or Vogue or whatever, it would be Kate Moss, a 85 pounds wet or blah, 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 even like the older or every model got very, very skinny. And then you would see dudes with very skinny girls, right? I'm not sure what the percentage of men is that actually follow that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because most of the men that I know that are happy, married or not married, but in long-term relationships with women, none of them are stick skinny. You know what I'm saying? Or, model-esque or that. So it's kind of a weird thing to aspire to be, because I don't even think dudes really want that, at least long-term. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. My brother had a crush on Mila Kukovic. Mila. She's like the tall from like the 90s and 2000s. She was in a lot of stuff. Mila something, blue eyes. She's striking. My brother had a crush on her like forever, and sees her in a club in London. And he's like, Ashley, I didn't even, like, she just looked like, he's like, I didn't even have any, he didn't want to, like, you would think that he might want to take her home or date her or something. He's my brother. I don't want to make it too weird. But he was like, she just seemed like a piece of art. Like, I didn't even really want to talk to her or touch her. But he also said he felt like a vibe that wasn't very warm or, like inviting. I think a man also wants to feel comfortable. Another one of my friends, Dan, I tried to hook him up with this woman who works out a lot. And I'm like, yo, and it was actually really ridiculous. I'll just say it. So you guys don't know them. My friend, who was a female, was like, Ashley, I'm not joking. I'm just super horny. Like, do you know any guys that would want to have sex with me? Okay, my friend is a little bit out there, and it's fine. And I guess she's a little bit older, and like, she was trying to get over her boyfriend over. And I was like, literally, no, I'm not gonna, I almost said her name. No, I don't, like, I'm, no. And she goes, what about Dan? Just call him. Just ask him. Tell him, I could stop by. No strings attached. Dan doesn't have a girlfriend. And I was like, okay, I'll ask him, but this feels weird. And I texted him and I called him. He didn't answer me. And then the next day I was like, hey, so you didn't want to do the no strings attached sex with blank? He was like, Ashley, no. First of all, I think she might be crazy, like seriously psychotic. I'm like, yeah, I know. Kind of on the fence about that too. And he's like, second of all, her body is too hard. Like, I'm flabby and whatever. I don't want to be like feeling uncomfortable with some like girl with a 6-pack who's really skinny and pretty. Like, I want someone like me. It was funny. So that could be a factor too, There's all kinds of things. But I think my takeaway would be that people, you fall in love with people. You know what I mean? You fall in love with a person. Those things that we're attracted to physically, and I think more so for men than women, definitely, they, like, a lot of men would never have spoken to certain women if they didn't look a certain way, right? I don't think it's so much the same for women. That's just my opinion and 100% conjecture. But there's also guys that are really into, like, I found out about feeders, guys. Have you found out about this really sad situation? I can't. So my friend showed me a couple of these videos, like feedism or like, I can't. So like these women that are like normal, start out normal or, little, just whatever. I feel weird using certain, like thin, normal, fat, nothing. So they're healthy. We'll say healthy. And then they have these boyfriends. It's like a thing. But I need to know from you guys, are you guys just like Because I have a feeling it's not nice, but apparently these guys get turned on by getting their girls to eat a lot of food, like, and they gain. Some of them, they get up to 300 or 400 pounds. Some of them get to the point where they cannot walk, shower, or go to the bathroom without the assistance of their feeder. I can't. So I'm really confused. Because I'm like, okay, does the guy like this? Because more to me, it feels like he's trying to make her very overweight. And like by the standards that this one girl was like, somewhere white men who make up these beauty standards, what gets pushed in terms of what's pretty much every 10 years or so. Are there guys that actually want women? First of all, you fell in love with the woman that was at a healthy weight, right? So, but you want her aesthetics to change. You want her external to change. You want her to gain, sometimes to a point where literally she is completely dependent on you. So I think it's like a mix. I don't know. This one chick, there might be a show too. This one chick was like dating this, and the guy's always super skinny. Not like he works out and abstains from food, just like that kind of like redneck skin. I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't know. Like that, like centuries old peasant skinny genetic thing, that kind of thing. And he go there. She's trying to lose weight, and she wanted to get this gastric bypass surgery, but only you have to like be a certain weight to get it. Like you have to lose a certain amount of weight. So the guy, when they cut to the guy, he's like, well, I don't know, like if she starts walking on her own and she doesn't need me anymore, I mean, what if she just gets rid of me? And I was like, so I don't think that's all of it. I think maybe it could be like a proper fetish, but it feels abusive to me. And I don't know if you guys know this is 100% fact. The most deleterious thing that you can do to your body, the most taxing process that your body is awesome enough to do, is digestion. So overeating is literally the worst thing you can do to your body. It makes the rest of the body, like everything else, kind of shuts down and tries to show up. Like the overeating thing it's terrible. Worst thing that can happen, or you can, it's hard to say, like, I'm not going to be stressed, but stress is the number one offender. But something that is like the worst thing you can do is overeat. And what do I want to say? What do I want to say today? Is put too much food and overwork. Thank you. Overwork your digestive system. Yes, inflamed or like bloated. I sometimes feel like it's kind of funny. I have like this inside joke. I didn't ever have a PMS symptom until I was like 30. PMS, premenstrual. I don't even know what it stands for. Premenstrual syndrome. Yeah. So I had friends who would get horrible cramps, and they would get all kinds of stuff. I have friends that like can't really do much when they have PMS. And I was just like, oh man, that sucks. Thank God I don't have that. Not like that, but you know what I mean? I have other stuff. I have acne. You have PMS. And I started getting, like, I don't get cramps, but like the 3 days or 2 days out of the month where I feel inflamed or bloated, or I'm like, I ate like a little bit last week, but like, like, and then it happens and I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I guess that's when like, it's funny. Things can happen at different times, but I'll just be like, oh, okay. Thank God I'm not fat. I just got my period. Or eat the wrong foods that well, that's another thing. Oh, and this other person brought up in the comment. This, I got to find them and tag them or something in this. They were talking about how food was first of all, consumption was very different. Second of all, we did not have chemicals in our food 30 or 40 years ago. Maybe we did, but not to the extent that we have now. Do you guys know that we're the only country on the planet that literally pay tax dollars, ours, to scientists to put chemicals in food to make the food more addictive, that usually has no nutritional value. Like McDonald's is a perfect example. A lot of like they call it Franken food. So a lot of food documentaries that are mind blowing. I was so upset when I saw like Forks Over Knives, maybe Meat Matters. I don't think that's one. There were a bunch of food documentaries that came out, and for me, that's fucking personal. Like, I guess there is something like part of my thing and why I'm a vegetarian. It's different. Like, I won't eat meat. I don't preach, as you guys know. I don't take meat in because I don't like to think about it in my body. I actually literally can't. But I'm unique. I'm weird. I'm bizarre. Whatever you want to call it. But unknowingly going to get a freaking cucumber or a salad or something healthy or ish, and it's not just at McDonald's, just by the way, and there's like chemicals and stuff in there that don't do me anything but disservice. There's actually a documentary, there's a theory that a lot of people have this stubborn weight that they can't lose because the body doesn't even know what this shit is, these chemicals are that are in the food. So it just like I don't know, make it fat, you know, it like doesn't know what to do with it. And then put on top, I guess it was like 50s or 60s, they started putting like all the flashing lights with the hamburger places and stuff. We have receptors in our brain that see, like, because there was a point where we couldn't get food all the time, like your old brain, that when you see an availability for food, it's like, oh, I should grab a bite. But now it's like, so that's another theory. Well, this is true, that especially like in cities, it's very difficult to go even a few blocks without like some kind of sign that literally signals that part in your brain, like survive, like, oh, you could have just eaten 30 minutes ago. You know, I saw my dad do stuff like that a lot. And especially like older generations that had to deal with scarcity and stuff. But it's also very, I think, deceitful and devious to have certain lights knowing that they trigger that part of the brain. Like, at what point, I mean, I don't know, was there ever ethics in like proper capitalism? You know what I mean? I get it, use all the tricks you can to make money, but at the expense of your population? Doesn't make sense to me. All right, guys, I love you endlessly and incessantly. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Let's always keep talking, and I'll see you next time.